ticking off the bucket list. This is the Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network, talking US moto and anywhere the conversation goes. Today, I am blessed to have a man. You might know him as Gentleman Jim. You might know him as Uncle Jim, or you might know him as Jim Hollywood Holley. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing great now. Steve, we finally figured it out. I mean, we were supposed to, it's 6:30, so it took us about 40 minutes to figure out on the phone how to work this, but I'm guilty of that. My phone's not that, it's an iPhone 5. Maybe I couldn't accept it, so I had to go out. I live on a ranch, so I had to go out to the guest house to my cousin, and we were able to figure it out finally.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm sorry about all that. We had some technical difficulties, and like I said, bad timing. Like I said at this, right, my first comment, they're ticking off the bucket list. When I first started this show, Jim, I wrote down a list just off the top of my head of people who I would love to talk to, and it's just sitting on the wall there. It says guest bucket list, and the first name written down is Jim Holley. So here we go.
I appreciate that.
Very good, man. Very good. So, Jim, you've just been to Guatemala.
I was down there with my my son. I raced down there a lot. I know a lot of people down there that I've met. They were racers for 40 years, and they're actually billionaires down there. They own rum companies and sugar fields that they export the sugar to the U.S. and also to Europe and stuff. Another one of my buddies, a big land developer, Walmart and Kentucky Fried Chicken and Starbucks. He leases property out to them. Another guy, David, he owns a motorcycle company, imports Chinese bikes, and he's doing real well. He sold 4,000 units to the Guatemalan Police Department. Ho Chi, he's got a yacht. We were on a yacht. We were on a helicopter. We were on a private jet to go to the boat. And then also Louis Caneo, he's a big importer of Honda. He used to be Yamaha when I was down there, but him and his sisters had a little falling out, so he gave him the sisters the Yamaha part of it, and he has the Honda cars and bikes in El Salvador also, and Honduras and Guatemala, and he's got about, I think he said 40% of the market share down there, so he's doing really well. But I was just happy that my son, he had time off from SWAT, and he wanted to go somewhere, and he goes, "Hey, let's go to Japan." And I said, "Why? You've been to Japan, Jared, with me?" And I said, that's a 12-hour flight over, 12-hour flight back. We're going to lose a day right there, and you only got 6 days. It's only a 4-hour flight direct from Los Angeles to Guatemala. Let's head down there. So we went down there and we rode motorcycles on the up to the volcanoes on lava rock and everything. That was really hard. It's a 3-hour, trail ride, which, 63 years old now, and that was pretty hard on me. But no, I had a great time with them, and just, the people down there are nice. Everyone thinks it's a third world country, but it's not. I mean, the development of it is just phenomenal since when I first started going there in the 80s and everything. But yeah, and then I came back and I picked up a couple of Aussies. You might remember Greg Scott and Robert Scott. They flew over here and they wanted to go to the Denver Supercross. I'm not doing any more broadcasting or any of that. I'm just kind of retired now. So I go, yeah, I'll go there with you guys. They stayed and drove the car down to Salt Lake City, and they're in Salt Lake City right now.
Oh, nice.
I leave tomorrow to go to Washington, D.C. because Jared, he's in Washington, D.C. with all the officers from around the United States and Canada for the fallen officers memorial. So they read off all the names and all that, and they raise money. And
Damon Huffman's over there.
Yeah, he's riding with Damon, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, because I think my very last show or 2 shows back was Damon, and he was talking about that.
Yeah. Jared and him are riding because when Jared's not doing SWAT, he's a motor guy. So him and Damon, Jared did the bicycle ride last year. It was, excuse me, it was 3 days in a row, 100 miles each day on a bicycle. So this year he just said, I'll do patrol on the motorcycle. So I just talked to him actually before I went on the air, and I asked him, hey, did you hook up with Damon? He says, yeah, we rode together and all that. So that was the first day. And then, like I said, my wife and I were going to fly back and go to the Smithsonian Institute and then go to the ceremony. And then we'll drive up to Michigan with the big truck that says Redondo Beach Police Department, has a big trailer with all the bicycles and bikes. And we'll go visit my other son and the grandkids in Michigan just for a day. And then Jared and I will drive the truck back across the United States, and she'll fly home after a couple of days visiting the grandkids. So, yeah, even though I'm retired, man, I'm still traveling a lot,
That's cool, man. It's cool though,
Yeah.
like I like to I love to see people who are retired but they're still getting about and getting into stuff,
Yeah. Well, for
it's
me,
great.
I own a lot of real estate, and that's what I invested my money into when I was racing and stuff. And I still manage all those and take care of all those properties. Jared bought a house. I put a new roof on that for him, new air conditioning, solar panels. So, yeah, I stay busy even though I'm not, officially working for anybody. I guess I'm working for my kids. How's that sound?
Yeah, you never stop working for your kids, do you?
But I'll tell you when I'll be in Australia, though. I will be there. Philip Christensen. You remember Philip Christensen? He was the promoter of all the
I remember the
supercrosses
name.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
He's turning 80. And he told me that I have to be at his birthday, and his birthday is May 3rd, and he'll be 2026. He'll be 80. And I said, yep, I'll make the long flight back down to Australia, 14 hours, and come
So they've
visit
been
you.
in Sydney? Is that Sydney?
Yeah, well, he's in between Sydney and Melbourne. I don't know, in some exclusive area. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about in between Sydney and Melbourne there, right off the interstate, he said, or something.
Okay, yeah. I'm not sure where that'd be. Yeah, it's there's quite a few different spots there along that freeway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Very good, Jim. One of my first questions, and my favorite question, is always to ask people about their first experience with a dirt bike. So when did the bug bite you? You first sat on one, rode one, watched one, and you really decided that I love these things.
Well, I mean, for me, my first bike was a homemade mini bike. My dad, he rode professionally dirt track, flat track and stuff like that. But he made okay money, but he had a plastering business. And I'll never forget it. I went to it was my birthday, my 5th birthday. And I went to my grandfather's house, and it was dark because it was April, and it was, wasn't daylight saving time. But anyhow, they told me to go out in the yard and get the gas can, uh, to mow the yard. And I'm thinking, what? Why? It's dark. I can't mow the yard, and I was kind of bucking them, and they had a sheet of plywood up. So when I got the gas can, finally my dad says, get your ass out there and go get that gas can. So I went out there and I got the gas can, and as I was walking back, I saw the mini bike there. So that's why they wanted me to go get the gas can. They wanted to surprise me with the bike. And that was my first experience, on a motorcycle. As far as what I wanted to do for a living, that probably came, maybe like when I was 10 years old after riding and stuff. I got a mini enduro and things like that. But I just like the, individuality side of racing a motorcycle. The gate drops, it's you. You're making a decision. I played baseball and football and all that, but you could lose a game because one of the guys dropped the fly ball out in the outfield and you lost because of that. I just like to, I like to, accept all my, like, hey, that was on me. I made the mistake, and that's on me, And but as you get to the professional ranks, your mechanic could make a mistake. Your suspension mechanic could make a mistake. But still, bottom line, when you drop the gate, you're the one making the decisions, when to square up underneath the guy, when to go underneath him, when to move him out of the way, what to do, how the race, comes to you and stuff. And I like the different aspects and the tracks, the outdoor tracks, what they presented, nature, uphills, downhills, rain, this, that. I like the supercross tracks because all the fans can see it. As an outdoor race, the lap times are 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Well, if you're a fan, you might only get to see your favorite rider, 30 seconds on the track, and then you got to kind of walk around it. It could be 100 degrees in some nationals, humidity and stuff. So I really enjoyed, the getting close with the fans at Supercross because, you have like Feld has the Fan Fest where you walk through and, I think motorcycling, well, I know for a fact, motorcycling is the only sport that you can go up and you can meet the rider, see the mechanics, get an autograph. Ronaldo, Messi, all those guys, you're not going to meet those guys when you go to a soccer match. Over here, we have football. You're not going to meet Tom Brady. You're not going to meet Shohei Ohtani, the Japanese pitcher for the Dodgers now. Although I had a friend of mine when he was at the Angels, he was a pitching coach, and I do have a signed Shohei Ohtani baseball. And when my Japanese writers come over, I always show them, hey, look, I got Shohei's ball. It's probably worth some money. Maybe I should help out his agent. Is that popular down there in Australia, like baseball, like Shohei Ohtani?
No.
People don't know him.
Baseball's not. No. Baseball, we don't know much about baseball at all, really. Yeah. There's quite a few Australians follow American football. I love American football. But yeah, baseball, we don't. Yeah, not much because like we have. I guess our version is cricket. Australia is huge in cricket, so yeah.
And then you also got when I was in New Zealand, the All Blacks there with rugby. You got the rugby. Yeah, that's
we have the rugby, cool. And then we also have Australian rules football, which is unique to our country. Yeah. Which is Australian rules football and rugby and cricket are sort of the three big sports. Yeah.
Right. The rugby's crazy to me because they don't wear pads or helmets or anything, and they're hauling ass across the field. Wham! They hit each other. I mean, it's crazy.
Those guys, yeah, they're tough. Those guys, that's got to be the toughest sport, like that.
Yeah, they're definitely tough.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, absolutely. We might move into talking a bit about your early racing days, Jim.
Yeah.
Do you remember? So in there, I always look up results in the vault, and your first result in the vault is 1980 Hangtown. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. That one, I think I was on. I might have been on a Yamaha. Or I don't know if I was riding the Mugen at that time.
Yeah, it says the Yamaha 125 in the vault.
Yeah. My first ride on the Mugen was Southwick, Massachusetts, because Johnny O'Mara got hurt. Al Baker, who ran that team, came to me and says, look, we need a fill-in rider till Johnny comes back. And, if you go out and prove yourself at Southwick and run in the top 10, we'll keep you going. And I did. That was my rookie season. But, 1980 was, my rookie season on the 125. And, I had a good year. I think I finished up for the year 9th. And I was a top privateer because I wasn't a factory guy back then. But, I had a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And then you moved into Can-Ams, and a lot of younger listeners to the show would only know Can-Am as people who make quad bikes and side by sides. But Can-Am was pretty active in motocross for about 10 years or so, I guess. I remember. I think Jimmy Ellis won a title on a Can-Am in about 76, maybe.
Yeah, 75, 76. Those were good bikes, the Can-Am, because the Japanese they started the Elsinores in 72 and Can-Am was already developed. Jimmy had success. Donnie Hansen actually rode a Can-Am. I'm just drawing a blank. Gary Simmons rode one. Gary Jones rode one. There was a lot of good guys that rode Can-Ams and stuff. And I just was in just outside Toronto last year for Can-Am's 50th. and that was really nice to see a lot of the old riders there. And I actually raced one of the old MX6s and stuff. They had one of my my old works bikes there, which was pretty interesting, water cooled and stuff. And yeah, I had a great time with those guys. But unfortunately, it was only a 1 year deal. But after 6 months, Jimmy Wynant rode one in '79, I believe, and I rode them in '81. But they stopped development after Ellis. He left, and they didn't develop. And then the bikes, you know, really, the Japanese really took forward, and they had to really hold. And the bikes just weren't competitive enough anymore. I remember one time at the Kansas City Supercross, I was so excited because I kept complaining to Valcourt, Canada, which is just outside Montreal, to the engineers that, hey, the frame is so low that it's hitting all the whoops and everything, you know, it's dragging. You got to raise that frame up. And so Flying Tigers, they flew down a new bike. I was excited. The frame was up, everything would look good, but I couldn't start it. The Kickstarter hit the frame because they raised it up. So I had to literally bump start that motorcycle at a Supercross. And yeah, I think in the main event, I stalled it, and then trying to push start it by yourself. It might have been rainy or muddy there. I can't remember. It wasn't raining, but it was soft off to the side. So I couldn't push it by myself. Yeah, just things like that. And, you know, as a matter of fact, a lot of the top riders, I think Hannah and those guys, when I was riding that thing, they would follow me at the Supercrosses for the first couple laps. And I go, well, why are you guys following me? I should be following you. I should be learning from you. They go, no, we like to follow you because your bike's so low. When you go through the whoops, you knock the tops down for us. I was just going, oh, I can't believe it, you know. But yeah, so we parted our ways, but it was still good. It was a great learning experience for me. You know, after finishing ninth, that's the only offer that was on the table. You know, Johnny went to Honda. That's when he started at Honda, and I went to Can-Am and tried to resurrect the bike and get it going, but they didn't want to do it anymore. They were really famous for building a lot of bikes for the military up in Canada. So for the military, you really don't. I mean, they were fast, they handled good and everything. It's just that, you know, the technology was back in Jimmy Ellis's day, and we're in the 80s now. And yeah, we were behind the 8 ball, that's for sure.
Because the bikes in that era, you know, that early 80s era, like there was huge developments in suspension and geometry and everything every year. You know, every year it changed, didn't it? So
yeah, no, I'm looking. I don't know if your viewers can see this, but there's a picture of me on the Can-Am. Can you see that?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it says Jim Holley Bombardier. So Bombardier, they owned Can-Am, and they made the snowmobiles and all that. But the Bombardier motor was just solid. You know, it was really good. It was bulletproof. Never had any problems. You know, but like I said, they had on the backbone of the motorcycle, they had on the steering stem, they had two intakes where the air would go into the air box. But like I said, I was jumping them, hitting the triples and stuff. The frame was stretching. I mean, it was, you know, the steering head, you know, we'd like it 28 degrees, 29 degrees to turn. I mean, this thing was pushed out to 40 degrees. I mean, the wheelbase was so long, and I just said, look, this isn't going to work. It's dangerous for me, and it's dangerous for the riders. And so, yeah, they didn't want to develop the bike anymore, and they paid me my contract off, and I went back to Yamaha.
And still with Yamaha. So that's you haven't changed since then. Yeah. So what's that? 1982 to now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Yamaha's a great company. Like I said, I can call them and I need something, or I go to Japan or whatever. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to take some people to Japan with me, and you know, we get to go on the assembly line and everything, but no cameras. Can't have cameras inside the factory or whatever. But
yeah, of course, yeah.
No, I've had a great relationship with Yamaha.
Yeah, you're very, very loyal to Yamaha and to O'Neill. So
yeah, matter of fact, I'm still wearing an O'Neill
there you
shirt.
Go. Yeah.
And Scott goggles, you know, Bevo hooked me up with Scott and Arai helmets. You know, I can still call Arai and get a helmet. I can still call Scott and get goggles and stuff. And my grandkids are starting to ride a little bit, and they sent me gear and goggles and everything, and I appreciate that. That to me, and I always ask them, like Frank down at O'Neill and Jim and those guys, they gave my grandkids gear. And we have a steakhouse down here. It's really popular. It's called Ruth Chris. And I went and gave him a gift certificate to Ruth Chris for a couple, 200-300 bucks or whatever. And they almost didn't want it. I go, no, take it. I go, nah, these are my grandkids. They're not me. It's not for me. But, so they took it, and then, or Frank took it, and he goes, well, we'll go with our wives and grab something to eat there or whatever, and we'll use the gift cards. I said, that's fine, whatever you want to do. But I don't expect it from the guys, even though I've been loyal, and I'm a really firm believer in loyalty with the companies and stuff. And I'm just one of those type of guys.
Yeah. I really value loyalty myself. Like, if someone does me a solid, like I'm their guy for fucking life. Like, like I'm really big on loyalty. So, I'll value that over anything. I think it's a very good way to be. Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of the guys in my era, I think, they switched around a lot just for, maybe a few bucks or whatever.
Yeah.
And, I don't think that, they can go to these manufacturers or clothing companies or whatever and get gear, because they remember that stuff. They go, hey, man, you left us to go and make an extra $10,000 or whatever it was. And why should we help you now?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm definitely on the side of loyalty there. Yeah, I think loyalty is better for the long term. The quick buck might be there to not be loyal, but that's only a quick buck's going to go quick as well too, isn't it?
Yeah. So. Well, and I see, like I don't know what happened with Evan Ferry and Triumph or whatever, but he left. I'm thinking, man, that's a good company. You got Carmichael there helping out. You got Ivan Tedesco developing the bike. You got Joey Savacci there. You got Jalik Swall.
Jeff Stanton.
I'm thinking, man, I haven't talked to Timmy. I haven't talked to Evan. It's really none of my business, but I see he's going to ride the outdoors, and that's good. But I don't know what the problem was there, because Jalik's putting in some pretty good rides and stuff, and
he is, yeah.
We'll see what happens. I know in Europe they got a guy in the MX2. He's been putting in some good results also.
Has done, yeah.
I don't know if it's the bike, the management, what happened on there, but I'm a firm believer in stick it out. If you got a 1-year contract, you just keep your mouth shut, stick it out, and then change. Not like halfway through the season.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, it's a bit of a mystery what happened there. We'll find out eventually. I wish the young fella well. I wish him well. I hope he does great. He's only young, and I hope it works out good for him. But it is a bit of an odd thing. Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason I actually switched to Mugen, and the only reason why I did that is I won the Golden State Series, and the team manager Kenny Clark at Yamaha, he gave me bikes and stuff, and I went out and I won the series. Glover was there, a lot of the big name guys, and I won the series. And then he was going to either hook me up with Moto X Fox, which had a Yamaha team, or LOP, Lorenz Offner, had a Yamaha team. And when I went into his office, he said, I said, I'm ready to go, man. I won the championship for Yamaha. I got some bad news. I can't hook you up with any of the teams. They're full. And I'm thinking, hey, you promised me. I moved to Nevada to get away from my friends and distractions in LA and focus on racing, and I won the championship. And he goes, I got some other bad news. The bikes and parts that I gave you, I need those back too. And I'm thinking, what? I just go out and win this thing? So Tad O'Connell, it was an engineer at Yamaha, and Mark Porter, he ran the testing and development. They backdoored me a couple bikes to start those nationals off at like Saddleback and Hangtown that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were helping me out, and I really appreciated it. But this Mugen deal came along, and so I jumped on it. But as soon as that went away, I went back to Yamaha.
Yeah, and a bit of Can-Am.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it was Can-Am. It was Can-Am first. Yeah, I went
yeah,
to Yamaha, started in 1980, finished off the season with Mugen, and then 81 I jumped on the Can-Am, and
mm,
halfway through that year, we dissolved the partnership between Can-Am, and then I picked it back up on the 500 Yamaha. I think it was the 465 or the 490. I can't remember, but I picked
mm.
it back up, went back with Yamaha.
Yeah, 82.
Been there.
82 would have been the first. 82, I think, was the first 490. I think
Yeah,
490, 490J.
82. I think 82 at Carlsbad at the National. I might have got fifth or sixth overall that year. But there again, I didn't have money, so I couldn't hit all the far away nationals. So I kind of had to pick and choose on where I wanted to go.
Yep.
But no, I had a great time. 83, 84, 85 were great years for me.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a like a most memorable race? A favorite race, or just a most memorable race?
Well, it would probably have to be the LA Coliseum, the World Supercross Championship. I went to
Mm,
Europe, rode the rounds over there, and came back here in my own backyard. And it was nice to win it there. A lot of good bonuses and stuff from the FIM and the AMA and Yamaha and everything. And Yamaha went 1-2 that year. John Vandenberg from Holland, he was second, and that's who was close to me in the points. I think I finished up fifth at the LA Coliseum that night. I think he might have been at seventh or eighth. But yeah, it was enough for me to wrap
mm.
up the championship.
80,
And
85, yeah, 85,
yeah, 85. Yeah. Yeah.
85, yeah, yeah.
And then I had a lot of other, great races all over the world. In Canada and Montreal, I won the Supercross back-to-back years, and that paid a pound of gold to win. And
Mm,
back then, gold was, I don't know, it was like, I still have it. It's expensive now,
mm,
but back then it might have been 300 an ounce. And it was funny because Pierre Carbet, he was the promoter there. And when I went to the payout window, he was counting out the little bars, right? And he's counting me out, and he only gave me like 10 of them, or no, 12 of them. And I go, hey, I think you're missing 4 bars because it's 16 ounces to a pound. He says, no. He says, gold's measured in troy ounces, and it's 12 troy ounces to equal a pound. Well, I'll take your word for it. So I went back home. When I flew home, I went to the gold place. I said, hey, how many ounces in a pound of gold? They go, well, we measure gold in troy ounces, and it's 12 of them. I said, okay, I didn't get screwed. So I went back the next year, and I won again. And I told them jokingly, I said, yeah, I needed some more gold, man. I still wanted, I still think gold should be 16 ounces. But yeah, we had a great time and stuff. So yeah, it's awesome.
yeah. What was your favorite with all your, you did quite a few international races. What was your favorite place to visit and do those races?
Well, one of them was it's called Mumbai now, but it was Bombay back then. I went to
Mm,
India for a race in Pune, and the people in Pune, or in India rather, they're not like the homeless here in LA. The homeless here in LA, they don't want to work. Even though they don't have a home, they have their cardboard. They sleep on the sidewalks at night, but in the morning, it's all rolled up, and you wouldn't even know they were there, and they're working. It's just the money back then in the 80s wasn't a lot, but India's changed a lot now.
mm.
But I remember when I landed there, it was like, I don't know, it's probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I was ready to go to bed. I've been on a flight, going to LA, London, all that junk, and they shuffled me off in a car, and I had to drive 6 hours to Pune where the race was. So after the race, I told him, I said, man, I'm not into that. I want to take a train. Do you guys have a train? And I took the train back from Pune to Bombay, and I spent a couple days there just sightseeing around and everything. But I've raced in a lot of unique places, South Africa, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, all of Central America, Panama, Guatemala, all over. One race, when I was in Guatemala this past week or whenever I was there few days ago, they said, hey, do you remember that time when you were leading the race in Panama? And I said, yeah, the first moto, I said, yeah. And then your bike blew up. I go, yeah. They forgot to put oil in the gas and it blew up after
Oh
a
no.
couple laps.
Oh,
So the promoter paid me good money. And back then we were riding for Philip Morris, the big cigarette manufacturer,
yes.
Marlboro and stuff, all that.
Yeah.
So I felt bad that the people only got to see me race 3 laps or whatever it was, and the bike broke. So Yamaha had a display, and they had a XT 350 4-stroke. Hey, well, give me that bike. I'll race that bike. And I was winning on that bike, and somebody forgot to put motor oil in it, and it blew up. And
Oh
after
no.
that, I just said, look, this is something's wrong here. It's not going to happen. So what I did is I left the race after the race was over. I stayed, of course, and then I went down, and it takes about, I can't remember what it was, a lot of hours, 16 hours or maybe more, for the ships to go through the locks. They go in, they fill up the water, and then they
Yep.
cross over. So I got a lot of chance to see a lot of this stuff. And I didn't graduate high school. I probably should have. I could have probably figured out the phone and the computer a little bit easier. But I quit in 10th grade, so to go race a motorcycle. And instead of reading out of the history books, I did everything. On site, like going to Panama, Europe, Belgium, Sweden, all Spain, so I got to see all that stuff. I didn't have to read it from a book. I mean,
Mm,
I saw it live, which I thought that was pretty cool, that I was able to do that.
mm. You can't beat life experience, can you?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I, I like to say to myself when people say that, they say, I say, yeah, I might be not book smart, but I am streetwise. That's for sure.
Absolutely, which is more important, I think. More important.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Mm. Jim, one of the like my earliest memory of you
Yep.
is the cover shots and the cool pictures in magazines. Um,
Yeah.
I knew you, and I was a fan of you, um, particularly because of that guy in Australia. In the 80s, all we got was magazines. So I knew who RJ was. RJ was my favorite. I knew who Wardy was and Ronnie, and
Right.
but I always knew you because of the cover shots and the cool pictures.
Yeah.
And so that tell us a bit about that magazine work. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned that. My wife had all them framed too.
Oh, nice.
All the dirt bike covers that I did over the
Yep.
years. And so this was my first one. That
Yep.
was November 1980. But yeah, had a lot of them. That was a motocross action one.
Yep.
But yes, yeah, no, they were. I mean, he just passed away last year, I think, or was it this year? No, last year. Rick Simon, super hunky.
Yes.
He got me involved. Him and Jim O'Neill were good buddies, and so that's how it started. And Jim says, "Hey, I got a guy. He can test these bikes, and he's pretty good on whipping them and stuff, and he's apt to doing anything you like to do." And so yeah, Rick Simon, Tom Webb, Paul Clipper, all those guys are really big, and they helped me a lot with learning how to do contracts and stuff, with the guys and all that, and getting more money for myself and to keep going, because I was a privateer when I started out on those things. And then as I became a factory rider, I had to get a clause in some of the contracts that let me test these bikes. And I said, look, it's to your benefit that I can test them, because I can see what they're doing. And all the factories nowadays, they buy all the other manufacturers. And like, I know that, drawing a blank on his name at Yamaha, Travis Preston. He runs that, and he tests the bike still, and they all test each other's bikes to see what's it. But back then they didn't do that. So I was able to test a lot of the bikes. Go, man, that Honda, woo, that thing really handles good, and it's just a little slow on lower end or whatever, but top end speed is really fast. Blah blah blah. The brakes are good on the Cowie or whatever. And I said, this is beneficial to you guys to have me testing that. And so I was able to do that, and still, because a lot of people ask me, they said, how were you able to test the bikes when you rode for Yamaha? I go, well, there was a little loophole in the contract that I was able to do it.
Mm. That's it. Yeah. What's your most memorable thing of your magazine days? You know, there's a few crazy jumps and crazy, you know, things you did. What's the most memorable thing out of that?
There was one Suzuki RM 125 where I hit something. Tom Webb goes, "You think you can hit it?" And I go, "Yeah, I'll hit it." And I hit it, and the thing was completely flat. And I brought it back down. I didn't lay it down. I brought it back down. And then, of course, the Harley jump. Rick Simon, I went over to his house. And he goes, "We're taking this out today." I go, "We're taking what out?" "We're taking this full dresser Harley Davidson." "Yeah, you're gonna jump it." "Yeah, sure, whatever you guys want." So, we did a few of those, and the saddlebags started flying off of them, and the frame started to stretch. And I go, that's about it, guys. We're done. I don't want to, it had running boards and stuff, no foot pegs. But, I was game to do anything. I had fun doing it.
And you I guess some of that sort of stuff, is that sort of what led you into getting into stunt work and movie things?
Yeah. I knew the Upper family really well, and and I knew a lot of the stunt coordinators. They'd come to Supercrosses and stuff, and they asked, "Hey, if you're ever done with your career and you want to get in the stunt business, let me know." And yeah, the Upper family, Jeannie Upper, uh, Erlene and Richard's mom, she had just passed away on May 5th, rest her soul, but she used to double for Wonder Woman and all that stuff. She was I remember going to we would go down to the bar or something. I don't drink, but I would be in there, and Jeannie would get in a fight with a man. She was a big gal. She knew, yeah, she could handle herself, but yeah, she just passed away. And but yeah, they were instrumental in getting me into the stunt business. It's funny that I tell people I used to get paid to stay on a motorcycle. Then I got paid to crash them. So, but yeah, I had a good time. A lot of great movies, The Italian Job, you know, um, Wild Hogs with Ray Liotta, just a lot of different, and then also camera bike stuff. Like you'll see a commercial and you'll wonder how they got that shot, or whatever. I'd be on a bike with a sidecar, and the camera guy would be out, and we'd be chasing the car or whatever, or somebody running down the street, we'd chase him or whatever. But yeah, it was a great business, as long as it lasted. Then you just get kind of too old for it or whatever. But no, I had a lot of good times with the stunt business also.
Super interesting. Super interesting. That whole, the movie business. I've talked to a couple of people, who've worked in it, and yeah, super interesting.
Yeah,
One of the
when Greg Scott was here the other day, I got a residual check. And, those residual checks are free money. You get paid for doing it. You get stunt adjustments. If you're jumping a bike, blah, blah, blah. But then, you even get meal penalties. If you miss a meal, they pay you for it, And I go, yeah, I'm okay. I don't need a meal. I'd rather take the cash, But yeah, the residual checks. At one point, sometimes you're getting $10,000 and $12,000 checks that just roll in. Especially like the Italian Job, that was such a big hit with Wahlberg and Charlize Theron and all those guys that were in, Edward Norton, Most Def, Jason Statham, he was in it. But yeah, those are big things. And like I said, I go, yeah, here's one. I got $700, just came in for different shows that I've worked on. He goes, how do you keep track of it? I said, I don't. Screen Actors Guild, SAG, and AFTRA, they keep track of that, and I just trust them. I guess they're doing okay. But friends of mine, they'll be on an airplane, they'll call, "Hey, you should be getting your residual check. I just watched the Italian Job on the airplane." I go, "Hey, I appreciate that."
That's the way. A big movie from my childhood was Winners Take All, and I know you're involved in that. What was your involvement in that?
Yeah, I was doubling Don DeLuise's son, and I forget what his name is. He was
Yeah,
I was riding a bike. There was three characters.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I know. Yeah, the Deloise. I can't. What's his
yeah.
name?
Trying to remember what his name was, but yeah,
Yeah.
we had a great time, doing that, and that was still during my racing career, as a matter of fact.
Because
So I
it
was
was
just kind of on the end of it.
they're on 1986 models. Because I remember
Yeah,
I had an 86. I had an 86 Yamaha. I had an 86 YZ, and so that was even cool. It was like, wow, these guys. Like, they're on the bikes that are like mine and all that sort of thing.
yeah.
It was a
Well,
really cool thing.
yeah, obviously the actors aren't going to write them, so we have
Mm,
stunt doubles, and that's our job. As a matter of fact, on that movie, um, usually second unit is stunts, and first unit is with the actors. And I was up on first unit for some reason, and the actor, which is Don Dello, not Don. God, I'm trying to remember what his son's name was.
yeah.
Anyhow, he didn't have his goggles, and they were Scott goggles. And he goes, hey, I need those goggles because I'm coming up. Well, as soon as I gave my goggles, guess what happens? I get a call to go back to second unit and ride, right? Well, I didn't have no goggles. So I go back to wardrobe, and the wardrobe lady, they're like prison guards. So I went up to her and I go, hey, I need another set of goggles. She's because everyone like steals a lot of stuff. They don't
Mm.
steal, but they just forget to turn them back in, and she's responsible for them or whatever. In any wardrobe person. So I went to her. I go, well, I gave mine to the actor. Well, where'd his go? I go, I don't know where his went. I just know that they're filming, and I didn't want to stop filming. And then I got called up. We're like arguing over these guys. And I go, look, lady, I'm sponsored by Scott. They pay me money. I don't need to hide any goggles or whatever. And I literally had to rip them out of her hand. And I went up to the second unit. And then at the end of the day, I gave her the goggles back. And I said, here you go. No harm. The next day when I showed up, I brought my contract from Scott. And I said, see, I'm not stealing. These guys pay me money to use their product. It just so happens your guys are, I don't know what happened to Deloise's goggles. I go, that's not my problem. I go, he needed mine. I gave mine, and I was doing the good thing. But no, I had a lot of good things. I mean, one show I remember, it was called Red Shoes Diary. Ernie Ursati was the stunt coordinator. I'll never forget. Ernie's the good guy. He'll talk like this. Yeah, so you go down here, bop, 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 and you got it. You got it? Yeah, I guess I got it, Ernie. We'll do it. I really didn't have it, but I did it. But the scene was, there was a cab, and it was in downtown LA, and it was, I don't know, a football field away, the cab. And I had to come ride a motorcycle and do a skid and slide the bike and then come back as she was getting out, wheelie by her and just kind of scare her, right? That was the scene, right? So I go down there. I have the slide going, everything's working real nice and bitching. All of a sudden, boom, I'm down. I lost the bike. It went away from me. It was sparks and everything and this and that. I ran, got the bike, came back, did the wheelie, came back. And Ernie goes, oh man, that was bitching, man. I loved it. They love the sparks. I go, Ernie, I lost the bike. That wasn't on purpose. I lost it. I don't know why I lost it, Ernie. I need to go down there and find out why. Because if cast and crew would have been on the other side, I would have wiped out some people. So I need to figure out what happened. So what do you think put me down so fast? And it was a little misty. It was midnight, but the water didn't, because I had a nice slide going. Okay, what do you think put me down?
Ah, I'm just thinking. That someone spilt oil, or there's something on that.
No,
No.
no, I had a good side. A lot of people say paint, the paint on
Oh
the
yeah,
lines.
painted
You
lines.
hit
Yeah.
that, it'll go down. It wasn't that. There was no paint on that. It was a steel manhole cover, to
Oh.
go underneath the ground. I hit that as I'm coming. I hit that right in the middle, and it just went away quick. So I found out where that was. I looked over to the side and I said, okay, telephone pole right there in line with the manhole cover. I either got to go deeper or I got to go shorter to make my turn. And it worked out good. But yeah, just stuff like that, that you learn from experience. There was another time I was on another commercial, and they have PAs, which are production assistants, right? They're just kind of breaking into the business and stuff. and I'm following a car, and we're probably going about 45, 50 miles an hour, right? And I got a side hack with the camera guy, a pull focus guy. For some reason, I don't know why the studios like to load up the hack or whatever, and then they also tether them to the hack. You know, like who wants to wear a seatbelt on a motorcycle? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But that's
yeah.
just what their safety protocol is. So I go,
Yeah.
all right. So I got to really be careful because I just don't have my life on here. I got 3 other lives on this bike. We're running down and we're coming, and I'm watching ahead, and I see some homeless guy walking across, and he's going to get into my shot, and I'm going to hit him. So I shut it down. I just aborted the situation. I shut it down. I went over to the production assistant. I go, dude, what the effing happened here? I go, you need to get that guy. So I go, you need to physically grab him and hold him. He goes, well, I had the bullhorn and I was yelling at him to stop, stop, stop. I go, that's all fine and dandy, but you need to physically grab him and stop him. The guy ended up being deaf. He didn't hear any of that stuff.
Oh,
So that's what, so these are just some of the situations that's happened to me, in my time in the stunt business.
you would have come across some actors and actresses that were a bit of a dick or like really nice or anything. Is anything memorable that might have surprised you?
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dick. And I liked him as an actor. I loved all his films and
Yeah.
stuff, and yeah, it was called Showtime with Robert De Niro, Eddie Murphy, and Rene Russo. And there was a scene where I was a homeless guy and I was pushing a cart and it was on fire. He was in the car. I went up to talk to him. I said, hi, Mr. Murphy. My name's Jim. I'm the stunt guy. I'm going to be pushing a cart with fire. We have a guy in the back seat laid down with a fire extinguisher. If anything happens, he's in the car. We have a stunt driver, blah, blah, blah. I'm just he's just looking like this. He didn't even acknowledge me. He just looking straight ahead. And I thought, what a prick. He didn't even say, hey, thanks for the heads up, man. It's great. Everything's going to go good or whatever. So he was one of the guys that I was a little bit disappointed. Then we're sitting on the curb another day, and I'm sitting next to Robert De Niro, right? And he nudges me, says, hey, you know what we're waiting on? I said, I'm sorry, Mr. De Niro, I don't. Because they really don't like you fraternizing with those big name actors. And I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't, Mr. De Niro. He goes, hey, call me Bob, man. I go, okay, Mr. De Niro. He goes, I told you, Bob. And so he looks over at Rene Russo. She's on there. She, hey, what are we waiting for? And she goes, we're waiting for Eddie. And everyone was waiting for Eddie. And he came out of his motorhome, and he had this hot chick with him and in his arm, escorting her up to the scene that they were doing. And he made it sound like, hey, all you guys, you're waiting for me. I was in my motorhome with my chick, man. You guys can wait on me. And then I asked production, I go, why do you guys tolerate that? They go, well, think about it, Jim. We have everything shot in the can. We're 3/4 of the way. We piss this guy off. We don't finish the film. Maybe we finish it in 2 weeks while the agents get together and everything. But we just let bygones be bygones, and that's the way it works. I tell you, another really super guy is Gene Hackman, and I raced with his son Chris Hackman when we were younger, and I got to know Gene really well. And anyhow, I was starting my professional career, and I was at a boxing arena in L.A. here with a bunch of my friends, right? Tony Danza walks in, all these guys, oh, look at that guy, look at that guy. Then Gene Hackman walks in. Oh, Gene Hackman's here. I go, Gene's a buddy of mine, man. I know. They go, you're bullshitting, Holley. I go, no, man, he sponsored me. He bought me a bike one time when I was going to Houston at Van Nuys Yamaha. My dad, the owner, Don Best, asked my dad, hey, you going to Houston? And my dad says, no, our bikes are pretty hammered and I can't afford a new bike or whatever. A day later, Gene Hackman was in there and he bought me a bike. And Don Best called at my dad and said, hey, you're going to Houston. Don Best, Gene Hackman just bought you a motorcycle. So anyhow, so he walks in, he comes up to the table and he sees me, he goes, hey, Jim, what's happening, man? How you been, buddy? I go, I've been busy, race. Yeah, no, I've been following your career, man. You're doing great, man. You're killing it and stuff. And I go, how's Chris doing? Yeah, he's doing this. He's flying airplanes, blah, blah, blah. We had a conversation. I introduced him to all my buddies. He shook their hands or whatever, said hi and stuff. And, then he walked away. He says, keep up the good work. And then those guys, their jaws were dropped that, they just met Gene Hackman, shook his hand, and, that he knew me. And then fast forward to when I think I was 40 or something. This is how cool of a guy he is. You've heard of the Mammoth Motocross, right?
Yep.
You have to drive in there, and it's only like not spectators. They have to park outside, and they have to take a bus in, right?
Okay. Yep.
The spectators. So anyhow, Gene came up to watch me and Chris. We were riding the vet class, and so he came up and stayed at the hotel with us and hung out and this and that. And he came up, and so Lori Carlson, she was running it, the Mammoth Mountain Motocross. She comes up to me, she says, Jim, I didn't know you knew Gene. I go, nah, Gene's been a friend of mine for a while. I've known him really well. He goes, he doesn't have to ride the bus up here. He could have drove his car in if you would have told me. I said, Gene's not like that. He doesn't want preferential treatment. He'll just go along with everybody else. He's not that type of a guy, and I respected him for that. Like, it's just awesome that you have people that do that, but yeah, over the different times and stuff, yeah, there's good and bad actors, just like there's good and bad people in the world, it's just, but I try to surround myself with good people.
Yeah. I like what you're saying about Gene. Yeah. Not being like that. I love it when I love a famous person that's humble. That's always there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the correct word. He's humble. Even though he could be a dick or whatever, but nah, not Gene Hackman. He's a good guy. He's getting older now. He lives in New Mexico. I haven't talked to him in a while, but yeah, I mean, I try not to bother him all the time. If I run into him, great. If I don't, I don't. But I'm not one of those people that do that kind of stuff. And yeah.
Cool, Jim. I might sneak in an ad read for Guts Racing about
Absolutely.
now.
Absolutely, the best seat covers around in the business.
That's it. That's it. I reckon you probably know Andy Gregg pretty well.
I know him. I know him and his dad. Yeah, great people up in Northern California there, and they make a lot of great products, and a lot of the guys are using them on the circuit. I think Husqvarna, the factory Rockstar Husqvarna, uses them.
Yeah, RJ Hampshire is going for a championship this weekend, and he'll be he'll be on that gut seat cover, hoping that he can get it done. Or that 250, that's the one to watch. That 250 West is the exciting one. That's the boys are tied in points and that sort of thing. And Guts Racing, like they've actually put they got the if you buy a Rockstar Husqvarna factory edition from the store, brand new. It's coming with a Guts seat on it. So, that's an OEM. That's their premier model, the Rockstar edition, and it's coming off the showroom floor with a Guts seat. So that speaks volumes for it. And also, I've got here just to show people. I got some goodies from Guts came through. I've spoken about this before on the show. You get one of these. It's a bit hard to see, but they're QR codes. You scan on them, the right one, and it leads you to a instruction video on how to fit the cover yourself. So you're not going to get that with too many. Me and
QR codes, we don't get along either.
That maybe not for you, Jim. Yeah, but I'll tell you, it works great. And what I've got here. So I got one for my Kawasaki. Look at that. I went with the all green. And one really cool thing with the Yamaha, how the Yamaha has the tank. It comes with that to go over
the little pad that you have to take off for the gas cap, because everyone always pulls that, and that one gets worn out.
It gets worn out. Yeah, it does get. It wears quicker than the original seat does, because as you're getting up over the front, it rubs the edges. And that. So this comes with the cover. There's my cover for my Yamaha. So
nice. That is, a lot of guys in Australia, is it pretty popular to restore old motorcycles? I'm talking the 70s and 80s, and they need seat covers, and Guts is a great seat cover to put on them.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, vintage scene, you know, it's as strong as it is anywhere. You know what? I guess relative to our population, you know, it's there's each state has a vintage racing scene.
Right.
You know, I
Do you
have.
know? Do you know Roscoe Holden? He
Yes,
does
I
a little
do.
bit of the XR75s and stuff. Yeah, I've
Yes,
sent some stuff down there on PK Racing Products. He had some stuff made up, and he asked if I could sign it. And I met him for the first time last year, I think, in Seattle. He was at the Seattle Supercross. Yeah.
yeah. No, I do know Roscoe. Yeah, he has a I helped him out on his website there a few years ago, just helping him out with photos and that sort of thing. And yeah, he is like he's the oracle of Australian motocross history. You know, if he knows
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone, and he's what's his website? It's a fantastic website. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I will I'll find it and I will put it on Instagram for people to see. But yeah,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you want to see cool pictures and information on the history of Aussie motocross, it is just an amazing website. So
Yeah. Speaking of the Aussie motocross and supercross, there was a thing that I was bringing up to Scotty when I won the entertainment center, right? I don't know what year it was or whatever, but a long time ago. And Andrew Raymond, who used to be the announcer, him and his dad, there was a dad and the Raymonds. Anyhow,
Raymond's Mike Raymond. Mike
Mike
Raymond.
Raymond was the dad, and I think Andrew might have been his son or
Okay,
something.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
can't remember which one interviewed me, but he goes, Mighty, you came down here and you kicked the Aussies' ass. And I said, well, I got to hand it to the Aussies. They helped me win it. And he goes, how's that, mate? And I said, well, coming from Southern California, we don't have topless beaches. And I was up every morning running on Bondi Beach with the topless girls. And the crowd just loved it.
Oh, they would have loved
They
that. Yeah.
thought that was awesome that I did that,
Yeah. Mike Raymond. Yeah, we lost Mike Raymond. Passed away probably 1 or 2 years ago. Yeah, he was he's like the voice of motorsport in Australia.
Yeah.
He did
Yeah.
the car racing, everything. Like
Yeah.
he was. His voice, and he did a lot of. Even in his later years, he still did Speedway. He was the voice of
Yeah.
Speedway.
Yeah, and you guys got to be proud of Lee Diffie. Look at his career, what he's done now with
Yeah.
NBC over here in the United States. I mean,
Well,
just phenomenal job.
Lee was calling live announcing the Supercrosses that I went to when I was young, like the Melbourne, the Melbourne, tennis center, Melbourne Tennis Center Supercross and that sort of thing. That was Lee was live announcing them, and he was kind of like the on our car racing on our V8 supercars. He was like the pit reporter guy,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
he disappeared, and I see him, and then I didn't see him again until we were able to watch US Supercross, and then all of a sudden,
there he is.
There's Lee Diffie. That's where he went. He went to America. I didn't even know where he went. He just disappeared. So
Yeah,
obviously,
he's got a lot of stuff. The Olympics, IndyCar racing. He does it all.
Yeah. No, I'd still rather our mutual friend Daniel Blair be in the booth instead. But yeah, that's
Yeah. Daniel does a great job.
He does, man.
Unfortunate that he wanted to be in the booth full time, and Phil just said,
Yeah.
we got a contract at NBC, and Todd Harris fills in, and then if he's not there, Lee Diffie fills in, and then now Jason Wagant, which I've worked with Jason on Race Day Live and Daniel at Race Day Live, but Daniel bound, he's still, Daniel's a survivor. He'll do whatever it takes, and I see him on doing Carson Brown versus Villapoto. He's still got a microphone and a camera in front of him, but he's mostly with the Orange Brigade now. He's developing young riders coming up and stuff, and he does a great job.
It's funny. So I've gotten to be a good friend of Daniel's, and I've been on his show and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And last time I was on his show, he asked me like how did I get to be a fan of his and get involved in his show.
Right.
And I said, well, it actually comes back to Jim Holley, because when we first were able to get a package to watch Supercross,
right,
which is it's about 10 years ago now. So before that, we had to get dodgy YouTube streams and that sort of thing. Or if you had a rich friend that had the premium cable package, they would get it, So
Right.
but it's only about 10 years. I think it was 2014 when we were able to buy a package at a reasonable price, still expensive, but reasonable, to watch the Supercross. And I watched Race Day live, and there's Uncle Jim, and I'd always been a fan of yours. And there's his little mate, and I was like, yeah, I remember that. I remember the name Blair, and I was like, oh yeah. And then I looked him up. Oh yeah, I remember. That's right. He raced the Geico bike and that. And then I saw, he's got a podcast. Oh, so I started listening to Main Event Moto, and then I ended up on the show and all that sort of thing. And so it's funny how things like that work out. So
yeah, it's amazing on the podcast. Everyone, I see Villeman's got one now, David, and 24 MX or no 24 titles or whatever with Villapoto.
Yeah,
and Carmichael, they break down. James Stewart's got one. Everyone's got one. A lot of people ask, "Oh, you should do one." I go, "Nah, I'm good, man. I'm retired." That's why I didn't really want to do. I couldn't commit to 17 rounds of traveling each and every weekend. I mean, a lot of people don't realize, what everybody behind the scenes, the racers, everybody goes through, the truck drivers, everything, to put on a show 17 weeks in a row, except for maybe Easter's off or one other one. But they run hard from January to May.
They absolutely do. Yeah, fantastic.
And I feel bad for everybody on those mud races though, because that takes a toll on the truck driver, cleaning all the equipment, the mechanics with the bikes, everything's got to come apart, the wheel bearings, the motor. It's just and mostly for the privateers. Factory guys got it covered. They got technicians that can help them and do this, but I feel bad for the privateer guys.
I had Josh Greco on the show. I think it was just after San Francisco. It was just after one of the mudders, and he was talking about what he had to do, and because he's got no parts budget, he's such a privateer. Like he was pulling parts off, cleaning them, and putting them back on, ready for the next race if they could.
I know some guys in Texas, Adam Tapia. He used to help out, Josh and stuff. Give him a few bucks to go to the races and stuff. And that's what it takes. I mean, you need those guys, the Josh Grecos, the privateer, 3-digit guys. You need them, because if they weren't there and you only had the 10 factory guys, it don't look good,
Yeah. I love the privateers, man. I love it. I love the privateers.
And what Steve Mathis, he just did Pulp MX. I think Josh Hill won it, and I think he made $25,000. I mean, that's incredible. And Yamaha gave away a bike. I know Mike Ulrich is, part of that deal that gives Steve the bike and everything. And Steve does a great job, and all the privateers really appreciate it.
I think I love that about the sport. Sometimes people can try and compare Supercross to, MotoGP, or Formula One and all this sort of thing, where they don't have privateers and it's all flash and all that sort of thing. I don't want to be compared to them. I love it just how it is. I love the fact that a guy who has a day job, like Justin Rodbell was working HVAC, a day job, buying a bike and turning up and racing against the pro guys. That's fantastic. That's the part of the sport that I love. It's and
when I was racing, what I used to do is I used to buy some bikes and give them to the privateer guys and say, hey, this will save you money. Just at the end of the year, sell it and give me the money back. And it's a write-off for me. I mean, I thought it would be good. I mean, I don't know. I've talked to other top riders. I said, you get if a bike costs 10 grand, say, okay, and you're a factory rider, you're not going to pay 10 grand for that bike. You can probably get it for 7. And then it's a tax write-off for you. Okay. If you buy it for 7, give it to a privateer guy, let him use it all year, maintain it, have him at the end of the season, give it back to you, or he can sell it and give you the money. and he might even be able to sell it for $7,000. You're not going to lose any money,
Mm.
but you take the write off on the 7 that you have the receipt that you bought that motorcycle, and
Yeah.
then when he sells it, you got $7,000 cash that you put in your safe.
Mm. That's it. That's fantastic. I love it. And you helped out. You helped out a lot of Japanese riders too, Jim.
Yeah, still doing. We have Kenjiro Tuji. He was the factory Yamaha Honda guy. He kind of runs the schools. I just give him a place to stay and a car and a garage to work out and all that. Sometimes I go to the track once in a great while, but yeah, we have a new kid, Showman Nagasawa. He's 12 years old. He made it to Loretta Lynn's last year in 65. Now he's coming back over, I think, May 20th to try to do the next qualifying session on an 85 to go. But we're just trying to, keep the international flavor along, with, Joe Shimoda. What he's doing is phenomenal. I'm glad to see
Mm.
him get a win last week.
Yeah.
He needed it for HRC because I'm sure everybody, and I don't go on the message boards or whatever, but everyone's probably, oh, he should have stayed at Pro Circuit. He's not loyal. He went for the money and this and that. Well, yeah, he might have went for the money, but I was glad to see him get the win. And matter of fact, I went in after the race when the 250 race was going on because Jim O'Neill and a bunch of us, we raised money for cancer research. And we've been doing it for 25 years now, and we've raised over 300,000. So what I do is I go to the guys and I have the piece of paper showing them from City of Hope. It's all legit. Said, look, I just need a signed jersey. I'm not asking you for any money. I just need a signed jersey. We're going to auction off the jersey on eBay or whatever. I don't do it. O'Neill does it. And I said, all the proceeds will go to the City of Hope. So, I mean, I got 9 jerseys in Denver because I don't go to all the races. And I went, oh, man, this is coming up. I got to go to Denver. And Greg Scott and Robert Scott, they go, oh, we're going to go. Come with us. So I got Chase Sexton. I got, and I appreciate all those guys. Sexton. I got Cooper Webb. I got Malcolm Stewart. I got RJ Hampshire. I got Levi Kitchen. I got Joe Shimoda. I got Adam Cianciarillo. El Hombre, Jason Anderson. I'm just trying to think who else I did. Oh, Justin Cooper. I got his. So I got a lot of heavy hitters. I didn't
Mm.
get Tomac because it was a Denver race and he's got family and friends, and I'm
Yeah.
sure his gear was. But I mean, it's a good cause and stuff, and I like to do that. But like I said, I went up after Joe, and he said. I said, hey, Joe, I talked to you earlier today. Can I get that jersey? Oh, I don't want to, I go, I don't want your race jersey. You just won. You're going to keep all the stuff from your first win at HRC, Yeah, leave that. Just give me whatever jersey. Maybe you wore one last weekend or something, or a couple weeks ago. Pulls out the drawer, and I knew he had one, and he signed it, and I had him put Denver on it and stuff. So,
Mm.
yeah, I really appreciate the guys doing that because I'm like that. We have a cause here called Road to Recovery, and
Yeah.
Mike, I'm drawing a name on his last name. Mike, he runs it. He sends me from Brian Barnes old jerseys that I had given out to somebody, and he wanted to donate it to the Road to Recovery. So I sign it, and then I take a picture with it in front of me, how I
Yeah.
look now, and I send it back to him. He goes, man, you're one of the best guys, you and Wardy, and some of the guys, they hem haw around. They take months to get the jersey back and this. And I go, nah, you guys do a great job for, riders that got injured for Road to Recovery.
Mm.
I have no problem with doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's good to give back, man. Like that road to recovery is amazing, and it's interesting what you say about raising money for cancer. I've just been on a bit of an adventure myself, raising money for cancer research. So it's yeah, it's a good thing to do
Well,
to
and,
give
and
back.
like I tell him, Steve, I say to all the riders, I go, there's not a rider or a person in the United States where cancer has not
Yeah,
affected them in some way or
that's
the
right.
other.
Yep,
Either a family member, a friend, or someone, an acquaintance or whatever.
yep.
And it's brutal, disease and stuff. I mean, there's other ones too, but I'm
Mm.
just saying this is kind of one that was dear to my heart. My dad had passed away from cancer and stuff, so yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, something I can give back to. And I have no problem with, helping out people and stuff.
Mm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jim, I've got a few sort of random questions I like to ask. I've kept you a fair while, a few just sort of random questions towards the end of the show.
Fire
Um,
away. I'm getting hungry because I'm a diabetic, so
oh,
I got to
right.
go
So
eat.
we won't go too much longer.
No,
Who was
no,
your,
I'm okay, but I'm just
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
We'll
yeah,
wrap it up in a little bit, but yeah,
yeah, yeah.
fire away on the questions.
Who was your teenage crush, Jim? So, like for me, for example, Kelly Bundy from Married with Children was my teenage crush. So, who was yours? Was it like like Daisy Duke or someone like? Was anyone like that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have too much of a crush. I know my buddy in Guatemala, Hochi, he likes the girl that you like. What was her name again? Kelly Bundy?
Kelly
Or
Bundy,
what?
yeah.
Christina Applegate. That's
That's
who
it.
it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Christina Applegate. He really loves her. He sends me all kinds of videos on her and stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. For me, man, that's a good question. I mean, I probably had a lot of them that I saw. I'm just trying to
Did you have a
think.
poster on your wall? Did you have like a
Oh yeah, yeah. I probably like Farrah Fawcett.
okay,
That
yeah.
that yeah,
Charlie's
yeah.
Angels, yeah. She was the
Yeah,
Charlie's
yeah.
Angel, wasn't she? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. She was the Charlie's Angels, Lee Major's wife, I think, at one time and stuff.
Okay,
Six
yeah,
million
yeah,
dollar man, But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I would say probably Farrah Fawcett. She was awesome, But yeah, I mean, there's been so many of them, over the years. You look and nowadays. Some of the women out there and some of the Met Gala outfits they wear in New York and the designers and stuff, you just go, wow.
That's a,
But
times have changed, haven't they, Jim?
yeah, oh, they have.
Like
Yeah,
that, I was, like it's hard, man. Like I got a daughter, and sometimes I just say to her, are you gonna get dressed before we go or not, or are you just gonna wear that? And she doesn't wear anything too bad, but it's just like I'm a dad, like, and
yeah.
but
Well,
like,
I was fortunate enough to only have two boys, but if I already planned it, if I had two girls and she was 16 and she was going to go out with this gentleman, right?
yeah,
I was going to talk to him because everybody knows that I'm pretty wild in my days.
yeah, yeah,
I had a plethora of women and all that stuff. I like to say there's two girls in the world. There's the party girls, and then there's the Marion type. So
yeah,
when the guy comes to my door and he meets me, I was gonna have a gun next to me, a shotgun next to me. And I was gonna tell him that, son, there's two girls in this world, party girls and Marion type. I like to think my daughter is the Marion type.
yeah, yeah,
But I didn't have daughters, so I got out of that. But I do have a granddaughter now,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I don't know. But that's my son. That's his job to take care of her,
yeah,
or
yeah.
her older brother Wyatt to take care of her.
It's no good. Well, my daughter is 16 right now, so and there
Yeah,
hasn't there hasn't been a bloke on the scene yet, but yeah, I can
yeah.
look out when there is. So
Oh,
yeah.
they'll be in. That's for sure. They'll be in.
Well, not
Yeah.
one that I've been told about anyway. So yeah,
Right.
none of them have been knocked on the door. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Um, Jim, what other skills would you like to have? So you've got your skills, you with your TV, obviously dirt
Yep.
bikes, stunts. What
Yep.
what can't you do that you would have loved to been able to do?
Probably music. I would
Okay,
have not been a record, but like I hear different sounds, with the horn and the piano. Like John Legend, he's phenomenal on the piano. There's other guys, but I probably some sort of musical instrument. I don't know which one, but
yeah,
I like the different sounds, guitars and pianos and horns. I really like the horns and stuff. Like Chuck Mangione, he's a jazz musician or something. But yeah, I mean, just I think that's pretty awesome that they can do that. But that's what I
mm,
would like to have done.
yeah. I'd love to be able to play the guitar.
Yeah,
that's my answer to that question. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What about who was your childhood hero?
I would have had to been my dad.
Yeah.
He molded me on a lot of my ways, and I remember one time I was 7 years old and he was a plastering contractor, and that's before drywall was around. When they
Mm,
did interior plastering, they used to have to cover the floors with black paper, and they had a machine that spread the mud on the wall and all that. Once it dried up or whatever, and I would go and clean the floors for him, right? And he had a crew. Now I don't know. I never asked him, but I should have asked him. But um, he, I don't know if it was in front of his crew. It was in front of his crew, and I cried, but I was done. I cleaned the floors, and anyone who knows me knows I'm immaculate. I'm a freak about that. I like shit nice and clean, organized. What is that called? OCD or something. I just like things.
yeah, OCD, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my pictures on the walls and stuff. I mean, I like them to be nice and straight and measure them and everything. But anyhow, I had the floors cleaned, and I was sitting down in this house that he was building, right? And I was sitting down in the garage, right? And he walks up to me, and it might have been after work or a break at 3 o'clock where everyone else was around. And they were just coming. Anyhow, he walks up to me and says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm just sitting down, relaxing a little bit, Dad. I got done cleaning all the floors and stuff." And he looks me square in the eye. He goes, "Can I? Yeah, you can cuss on this show, right? A little bit."
Oh yeah, yeah. You can
Yeah,
cuss, yeah.
because that's what he said. He looked me square in the eyes. He goes, and I'm 7 years old. He says, he looks me in the eye. He goes, "I don't fucking pay you to sit on your ass. Get the fuck up and grab a broom, do something, pick up papers, ask one of the other guys if they need water or something. But I do not pay you to sit on your ass." "I'm sorry, Dad." And I cried, man. So, I mean, my worth ethic today is all because of my old man. I mean, I have an acre ranch with horses and stuff. Maybe we'll walk up there. Well, they're put away now, but we'll go out there. Anyhow, everything that I've done, in my life, I owe it to my dad. And he's the one, like, this is my kitchen right here.
Yeah,
I built this place.
yeah,
And he taught me that. And sometimes, you know I have enough money. I'm well off. It's no secret. But i still i I still go out there and I weed whack the whole property, paint. You can see all that, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Trim trees, muck the horse stalls. And she says, "You're crazy." I said, "Why? What do you mean?" And she goes, "Why don't you pay someone to do that?" I go, "Because I don't have a job, Melissa, and I enjoy doing it. It's a relaxing thing. Like when I was racing, a lot of people would come up to me and they would say, "What do you do to relax?" I buy real estate and I work on it. It's
yeah,
a turn off from the racing. I don't have to think about racing, this and that, and I just enjoy doing that. But here's a couple of our horses. They're getting pretty old now. But come here, Red. Come on. Sometimes they come out, they think I got a carrot or whatever. Can you see them?
yep,
Yeah. So they ride them up in the hills and stuff, but like that little bit of poop right there, horse manure.
yep.
After we get done, I'll go pick it up. That's how OCD I am. I just
Put,
and we have a lady that comes and helps clean out when I'm gone in Guatemala or whatever, or when I go to Washington D.C. When I leave on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy. This is another thing for your viewers. This is Scotty Burnworth. He has the Carlsbad reunion,
yes,
and he had this in the bathroom. And he goes, "You want this?" I go, "Yeah, absolutely." And I scare so many people. This is a bathroom, outdoor bathroom. It's got a little
oh
shower in it
yeah,
and stuff. But
yeah,
when you do it, this is what you first see. Let me turn the light on.
yeah. No, you just dropped out for a sec.
Okay, this one.
Oh right, yeah, yeah,
That's above the toilet when you walk in, and so he had that, and he had it in a bathroom where he does the Carlsbad reunion thing, and he
yeah,
goes, "Hey, you want it?" I go, "Absolutely. I'm going to put it in. I got a place where I'm going to put it at and stuff." So
yeah.
anyhow,
I had Scott on the show a little while ago, and we were talking about the Carlsbad reunion.
yeah.
That's
No, he
something
does
that
a
I
good
would love to
job.
go to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't understand, like, what it takes to promote something like that,
Mm.
to go through that. And he does it, and he does a great job with it. And if I'm in town or I don't, because that's down in San Diego, and that's more for Carlsbad. I was more
Yeah.
Indian dunes, and Saddleback and stuff. But yeah, so anyhow, that's the ranch, and yeah, I mean, I really enjoy still working with my hands and doing things like that. I have no problem with doing that. Still drive my old Chevy. You see that? That old
Yep.
truck? I still
Yeah.
drive that old Chevy right there. I have a new Dodge right here.
Yeah. Yep.
I never drive it that much. And then I'm going to go back in the house because I have another new truck in the Dodge. And everyone always asks, why do you have these new vehicles and you don't drive them? I drive them once in a while. I like to call them my Sunday vehicles, But
Yep.
I would just nut up on somebody if they open up the door and they hit the side and they put a dent in it and they drive away or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is another truck I have.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Nice.
mean, I have a lot of stuff like that, but yeah, it's okay. I don't mind, But that's the type of a guy. I'm a flashy cars and things like that, and flashy boats. Yeah, I'm not into that. I'm just a simple guy. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Who was your favorite teammate?
Oh,
Probably hard to say.
yeah. I mean, they were all good. I got along with I get along with everybody. I don't, I don't have no problems with anybody. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. RJ was good when he was there. He was only there the 1 year and then he left. He went when I got on there. He was
Yeah.
there before me, but he left and he went to Honda.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of stuff. We had a lot of good fun and stuff together. Brock, Keith Bowen. One time in Keith Bowen, we were in Japan testing, and we went up to Otami. I think it's called. It's the beach community, and he was just green. He didn't know anything. And I said, "Look, we're going to take the train. I speak a little Japanese to get around." And we went up, and I knew some girls that were gaijins, American girls that were there on a dancing deal, and they were dancing. So we took the train, and Keith was a little nervous. He thought like we weren't like lost or something, But yeah, I had some fun with Keith and stuff. Had another fun time with, it wasn't my teammate, but Ronnie Lachine in Japan. One time we were over there and we raced, and it's no secret Ronnie liked to party and have
Oh
a good
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I don't drink. I didn't do because I like to know what I'm doing. And we met a couple Israeli girls in Japan. They were over there working, dancing or whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
And Ronnie just got so hammered. And this was after the race, and he had all this yen on his desk, from the race, because back then they paid cash or whatever.
Yeah.
And she got up and left in the morning, and while he was still sleeping, and he comes up, he goes, "Man, those girls were the best." I go, "Yeah, they're good. And they're honest too." I go, "What do you mean they're honest?" "Man, I was still out and she left this morning. She didn't take any of my money." I go, "You just left it out on your desk?" She goes, "Yeah, it was out on the desk." I go, "Well, they're good people, so anyhow."
Yeah. Fantastic, Jim. Fantastic. Yeah. I've heard plenty of the good stories from you on particularly on Pulp
Yeah,
about the stories with Uncle Jim and the ladies. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot of those. A lot of people always come up to me, and it was funny. The one that I most uh, get the questions on, and it was when I was doing those VIP track walk tours for Feld, because I wasn't doing the broadcasting, and they
Yeah.
called me and they say, "Hey, we're doing these track walk tours and opening ceremonies. We'd like you to help out with them." I go, "Yeah, I'll do a few of them, 7 or 8 of them. I don't want to do the whole season because if I'm doing the whole season, I might as well get back into the broadcasting." So I was on Steve's show, Pulp MX, and they had another real cute girl, and I think it was one of the guys was marrying. He actually ended up marrying and having a kid with her, but she
Yeah.
worked at a salon, right? And I'm an
Yeah.
old guy, and they were talking to her, and she goes, "Yeah, I work at the salon, and we do the bikini waxing and all that stuff." So I threw out the anal bleaching. I
Yeah.
go, "What about anal bleaching?" And some friends of mine are in the porn business, and they tell me, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes the girls got to get
Yeah.
anal bleaching done." I go, "Is that a thing?" And they told me. So I threw that out there just to kind of let the kids know that, yeah, I'm kind of hip. I know about anal
Yeah.
bleaching
Yeah.
and stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I'll be on a track walk, and a guy and a girl will come up to me, and they'll say, "We had it done." And
Oh, really?
I'm on the track walk going, "Oh my God." And I go, "Well, how was it? I've never had it done, but we want to thank you and stuff. It was the best experience we've had in a long time. And it brought us more sexually together and stuff." I'm just thinking, "Oh my God, what did I start here by just running my mouth off and say, what
Yeah.
about anal bleaching?" You know?
You're trying to explain to someone the track walk and show them lines and which rut you'd take, and then someone's telling you about their ass. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's
I
funny.
was just I was amazed at that stuff. I mean, Steve's got a good following, you got a great following, but yeah, a lot of people come up to me and they ask me about that, or the blow job before the Buffalo Supercross,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Steve mentions that all the time. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they'll,
That's
like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. That was just me, I mean,
yeah.
I had a good time, and stuff. And, yeah, one time in Florida, I remember Hannah, he was going out with one of the sisters, and I was going out with one of the sisters. But the one sister that I was going out with, she was level headed. The other chick that Bob was going out with, she was nuts, literally nuts. And this is Saturday night, and Bob's not drinking or whatever. He don't drink, but anyhow, he had to go to bed early, right? So Bob wasn't in that room. He had to change rooms because he knew she's pounding on the window. I just happened to be next door, and Bob, I know you're in there. Open the goddamn door, Hurricane. You son of a bitch. You are. Yeah, just like I'm thinking, God damn, I'm glad I didn't have that chick around.
Yeah, yeah. Excellent, man. Excellent, Jim. I love it. I love it. Love the stories. Um, Jim, I've kept you for yeah, we're getting on close to an hour and a half, so we might wrap it up. There's just two things I do to wrap up the show.
Yeah, no
Um,
problem.
all the American guests, which most of my guests are American, that's the focus of the show. I always say, yeah, give me your best Aussie accent.
Oh, okay. I got a good one because I was just with Greg Scott and
Yeah, yeah,
Robert
yeah.
Scott. Hey, matey, you gonna do a bit of rooting? You got a fatty on might?
Jim, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
You're right up there with the best of them. That was good. You just been hanging out with
yeah,
some Aussies. Yeah, that's it.
yeah, Scotty. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hung out
yeah.
with a few Aussies
Rooting.
and
That's
stuff.
it.
Yeah,
And it's always funny. It's still when I talk to talk and I'll more so message a lot with American friends and they'll be talking about rooting for someone, which we say barracking for, so I'll barrack for that football team, or I'm barracking for someone to win a race, or that sort of thing, rather. And where it's obviously rooting means something different down here. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, I know what rooting means. I know what a fatty means and all that stuff. I did learn one this weekend in Denver that I never heard before. And Robert was telling me a story. His son wasn't 16 and took the car out in Australia, and the cops caught him. And the son opened up the door, and he was sleeping. It was 2 a.m, and he goes, "Yeah, the cops came into my bedroom. They had a torch on me." And I'm thinking, fuck, a torch? What the fuck? My kid's a cop. I'm thinking a torch. And a torch is a flashlight, but I never
yes,
knew that.
yeah,
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 so I
yeah,
learned a new one. Yeah, I'm thinking,
yeah.
God damn, the cops in Australia come into your bedroom with a torch. I'm thinking like, medieval times or whatever, some sort of
Yeah,
torch.
that's
Hey, your
right.
kid took the car.
Yeah. There's a lot of little differences, Jim. Like that, it's just all little stuff. Like I finally did my first trip to America this year. I went to Anaheim
Oh,
one.
oh,
It was actually Daniel that talked me into going, basically. So,
yeah.
and
I wish I didn't. I wish I would have met you. I had to Japanese engineer from Yamaha. He came over, Iwasa, and he wanted
I
to go to Anaheim 1. So I
yeah,
was at Anaheim 1, Anaheim 2, and San Diego, and then Denver. I've only went to
yeah.
4 of them this year.
Well, I certainly hope to go back, so I'd love to meet you. And
Yeah, if you need a place to stay, I have a whole big old house here. It's just me. Melissa has her own house, and yeah, if there's no Japanese in here, then yeah, let me
yeah,
know.
sounds fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, that like when I people say, what's it like, and that, and I like the countries are pretty similar, apart from driving on the other side of the road. That was very
sure.
difficult to get
Yep.
used to. The countries are pretty similar, and also growing up, ever since like I grew up watching Sesame Street, listening to American accents,
Right.
and then watching American TV, American movies. So, and especially LA, like I've seen LA on television my whole life. So nothing big was different or unexpected, but little things, lots of little things, words, and how things work. Like I first time I went to fill up with gas, couldn't figure out how to get the pump going
Right.
because we don't have to prepay or anything. We can just
Oh,
you just you drive up, grab it, bang, and you just start filling up. And I'm like, I had to go and ask the girl. I was like, I said, this is the first time I'm filling up with gas in this country. I don't know how the pump works.
right.
So,
Right.
and she said, oh, you got to pay first here. That's just
Yeah.
little things. I stayed with a mate. I stayed with, he got just in Anaheim, Airbnb.
Right.
And I go in the morning to have a shower. I can't get the shower to work because the taps work different. It's
Yep.
just the bath's going, and I can't. Like, how do you? I don't want a bath. I
So
want a shower.
in Australia, is the hot water on the left side or the right side?
Hot water's on the left
Yeah,
in
okay.
Australia.
Always like this when you're
Yeah,
plumbing a house or whatever, always
yeah,
hot water is on the left. But
yeah.
yeah,
That's
no,
the same.
sometimes I go to hotels and I have a little bit of problem. You got to lift up on the thing to get the tub
Yeah, that
spout to
lift,
go back
the
up to
lift
the
up thing,
shower.
because what we would generally have is different taps for the bath and the shower. There'd be two lots
Right.
of taps. So you just go and you turn the shower tap, the
Yeah.
shower light, things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, just little differences here and there with different things like
Yeah.
that, and
Well,
it's
I can assure
really
you,
interesting.
if you go to Guatemala ever, you'll have no problem with the gas because they have a gas station attendant pump the gas.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you don't have to pump it. You just stay in your car.
like the
Which
good old days.
that's what we used to have in America. Because I mean, I when I was 14, I
Mm.
worked at a gas station, and yeah, check the oil, check the water, do all that, gas up, have a great day, all that. Matter of fact, one of the times I was working, I wasn't working, but my buddy was working, and I had the key to the register because the register was outside. Well, I
All right.
took the register, and he helped the people, and they went to give him the cash, and the drawer wasn't there. And
Oh,
yeah, so he's freaking out, like, oh man, I don't have no change, and how, and this and that. And then the gig was, hey, Skip, here's the drawer. I took it. Yeah, you son of a bitch. And a matter of fact, Skip and me, we were working the same shift, and there was a car inside inside the garage, working, and the carburetor was anyhow. He got this brainy idea to try to start it, and the fuel line was off the carburetor. This is before electric fuel
mm.
injection, and the gas pumped out, and there was a spark, and we caught the
Oh,
car on fire. And he
yeah.
panicked. He got out of the car and go, dude, get the car out of the shop. You're going to burn down the whole building. We need to pull the car out, get the fire treatment. But anyhow, needless to say, we the car was a total loss, but we lost our jobs after that. But anyhow,
Yeah, I crashed when I was an apprentice mechanic. I crashed my boss's dad's vintage car in through a wall. So I kept my job because it kind of it was this old car had really bad brakes, and
right,
like really bad old drum brakes. It was really old vintage car, and I'd have to shift it in and out every morning, and it was downhill into the workshop.
right.
And so you always had to brake really early to pull it up. And one morning, my boss had shifted it out, and he comes and he goes, geez, the brakes are bad on that. Watch the brakes. And I'm like, yeah, like they always are. They're always bad. right? But I go to come in, and what he was meaning was it had no brakes. Like there was nothing. It's just foot to the floor, and I'm reefing on the handbrake when it's not doing much either. And I went through a wall, and yeah,
Like
that
what's
was a
that
bad day.
movie? Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Remember? Didn't he run the
Yeah,
car into the building or something?
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
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 there's been a lot of stuff that my one son James with a car. I bought him a brand new Toyota. You guys call trucks Utes, right?
Utes. Yeah,
Utes.
yeah,
Yeah, I bought him a brand new truck when he turned 16. Jared, I bought him a brand new, because if you have two kids, whatever you do for the one, you got to do for the other one. So anyhow, James is driving. He came over and goes, Dad, my truck, the front wheel's shaking at about 30 miles an hour. And so I went and I drove it. I go, yeah, it is. I go, oh, yeah, the rim. Oh yeah, I hit a curb, and I looked at him. I go, James, you know who you're talking to, right? Besides Dad, I've done everything in the book on cars and everything. I'm gonna go to dinner, and you better explain to me what happened, because it was the driver's side front wheel that was bent, right?
yeah,
Well, we pull over, and it would be the passenger side if
yeah,
you hit a curb, right?
yeah.
So I came back home, and he said, I got off of the freeway and it was raining a little bit, and I spun around and I hit the curb that way, which would make sense. I go, well,
Mm.
obviously, if it's raining, you took it a little bit too fast. It was the first rain of the season. Oil's down. It's coming up. It's slippery. You got to slow down. So I said, no problem. It's okay. Go to school the next day. I'll take care of your truck. So I went down. I got a new rim for it, this, that. And I handed him an invoice that I hand wrote out. And he goes, okay, the rim is this much. The mechanic changed this much. What's this one? It says your cost. I go, that's my cost. You think my time's free? I took this around and everything, and I want $50 for my time for dicking around with this problem. And then, so he paid it. And
Mm.
then to this day, it is still out there. I took that rim and I put it where he parks the truck. And he goes, Dad, you want to throw away the rim? I said, absolutely not. Every time you leave and every time you come back, I want that to be a reminder in your mind that what happened to that truck. I go, because I bought it for you. You treat things a little differently when you have to buy it, but when someone
Oh
else
yeah.
buys it, you tear it up. So I want you to, and this rim's still there. And I was thinking, Wyatt's only 4, he'll be 5, my grandson, in June. I was
Mm.
thinking maybe I should ship that rim back there to James and go, hey, when your kid turns 16, you better tell him the story about this.
Yeah, no, is it? Oh yeah, yeah. I've got me and my dad have got similar stories. Like
Yeah.
I was a menace. Like, probably the worst one from his perspective was mum and dad went on on a lifetime trip. First trip, big trip overseas to go to England, Ireland, and Scotland.
Oh,
when
nice.
I'm the youngest, and I was 18, so I was 18-year-old, had the house to myself,
Ooh.
and it was like you can imagine. And the worst thing that happened was I wrapped my dad's ute around a bunch of around. We're all good.
Yeah.
Ah,
You,
cool. No
you,
worries. No, I just had to reboot. Just had to reboot this. Yeah.
yeah, but your your thing is I don't see you moving. I can hear your voice, but you're not moving.
Okay. All right. It's all right on my end though. So I think the
Okay, yeah,
recording should
no
be all
problem.
right. Yeah. It'll probably come good. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah. So the worst thing I did when mum and dad went away.
Yeah, they were over in Europe, and you
Yeah,
had the house to yourself at 18 years
I was
old.
throwing parties and stuff, and doing all sorts of stuff, and I was allowed to drive it. 'Cause I used to drive it, pretty
Right.
often. I put my bike in the back, and that's. But I wrapped Dad's ute around a bunch of pine trees just out the road from home. So, but
Yeah.
back in those days, I, like they were traveling Europe. Before mobile phones, I couldn't ring them and tell them because I wanted to get it off my chest. You know, I'm very honest. I was a naughty bugger, but I was honest, and I just wanted to tell them straight away. And I rang my big sister, and I told my big sister what I'd done, and she was like, "Oh, she's a nurse," and she was like, "Oh, as long as you're all right, you know." And I had to wait for Dad to ring, you know, and he didn't ring for a couple of days because they were gone for 6 weeks or something. They only ring every now and again. And I was like, "Oh, this is what I've done." But he was actually pretty good. He was like, because he knew what I was like. He was the same as me. He was pretty wild when he was young too. So
right.
He was sort of the same. He was pissed off, but he was glad that I was okay. So
Yeah.
But,
The things we did when we were younger, that's for sure.
Yeah. Cool, Jim. All right. The very last thing I do for the show, I sing a bit of Kenny Rogers for the outro for the show.
Okay.
And I always say to people, if you are familiar with the words to Kenny Rogers the Gambler, you're more than welcome to join in.
Okay.
Some people do, some people don't. So it doesn't matter.
You got to hold them and all that.
That's it. All right. When we get to the chorus, I'm going to let you run with it and see how you go.
All right.
So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, if you're going to play the game, boy, you got to learn to play it right. You got to know
when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them. That's about all I know.
Know when to walk away. Know when to run.
Run, yeah.
You never count your money.
Money. I was thinking blessings.
When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting.
When the counting's done.
That's it. That's it. Jim Holley, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Sorry about the technical difficulties at the start of the show.
No, we got it handled here. This is my phone. It's an old one, but I had to borrow my cousin Danny Birkenbauer's phone.
Thanks to Danny for the phone. Thanks to Danny for the phone. Thanks to you for your time.
Yeah. Now, are you in Sydney or the area? Are you in the Sydney area?
No. So I'm in. I'm sort of. I guess. Between Melbourne and Sydney, I guess is probably an easy way to explain it. Yeah.
The only place that I remember when Phil Christensen lived there before he moved was Hunter's Hill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he lived there. I remember being at Hunter's Hill.
Can't think of Hunter's Hill, but yeah, there's the Hunter Valley is like a region in, you know, that there's probably part of that maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all right. I will.
Well, if I don't see you over here in America, I definitely ring in. I'll be there in the beginning of May for at least a couple, 2-3 weeks in 2026 for Phil's 80th birthday.
Excellent. Well, I'll make it back to America before then. I'm going to try and get there every year. I've got Guts sponsoring the show now, and I'm looking for more sponsors and that sort of thing, which will allow me to do more trips and more cool experiences like that.
Well, look me up and we'll go to Hollywood and we'll go to a Japanese restaurant or something.
All right, sounds fantastic.
All right, take care.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
I just pushed leave, right? That ends it. Is that how it works?
That's all you got to do. Thank you, man.
I'm so bad. All right, man. Take it easy, Steve. Bye.
Cheers, man. Bye.